Hi, we're going to continue with our sample with John and Susan. We've already gone through how to enter data, what the income graph means, and now we're going to talk about these buttons on the right hand side. We have a number of buttons over here. So switch back to John's tab as we go through these buttons. The first button is the savings graph. You could also call it the investments graph. It's a moving picture of all their investments. So prior to retirement, in this case starting at 57, climbing up to age 67, you see that they're accumulating their investments for retirement. So they're starting with about $655,000 at age 57, and they continue to sock away some money and get some growth. And by the time they retire at 67, you can see in the total investments box that they have $1.3 million. And then after that, even though they still get some growth on their investments, they start depleting those investments. And you can see that it continues to go down. At age 77, they have about $800,000. At age 80, they have about $400,000. And then in the last 2-3 years, it depletes rapidly to zero at age 83. 82 and 83. So they're going to run out of money right in here. The next button is the retirement income graph. That's the default when you boot up the program. This is the, quote, retirement picture that your clients want to see. They want to know if they're going to run out of money. They want to know whether they're going to meet their target income. And it allows you to very quickly and easily make adjustments and show them those adjustments. So that's the second button. And the third button is the spreadsheet. We can click on that. Try not to get too intimidated, but there are a lot of columns on this spreadsheet. The orange is for the required minimum distribution calculations. The colored columns match a color on one of the graphs. And it goes all the way over. So you got Social Security, pension, you got income from growth and principal, you got their end of year investment balances, and the last column is the shortfall that's calculated. So if you're a numbers guy or you just want to see how we do the calculations, you can get in here in the spreadsheet and try it out. There are no formulas here. This is just something to look at. If you wanted to export it to Excel, you can use File, Export Spreadsheet to Excel, and it would pop all these columns out to Excel. Again, there's no formulas, but it just has all the columns if you wanted to print something differently or print a different chart or something. So those are the three views of the program. The retirement income graph is really the most powerful view. The next three buttons are for adding additional data. Okay, our first button is the investments. Now before I click on that button, recall that we entered our basic investment balances on the main screen, right under current balance, under taxable, tax deferred, etc. And we just entered thumbnail returns as well, right on the main screen. If you want to go into more detail though, you can click on the investments button. And on this screen, you can go through and add each of their accounts individually. So I could say John's 401k. And I could say Susan's 403b. And I can say John's IRA. And you can go in and put in their totals. I'm just making these numbers up. You can set their returns. Maybe look at their statements or ask them what they think their returns are. They might have a checking account. They might have a savings account. So you could go in here and enter all of the different accounts that they have. Okay, set the tax type. Alright, if you take the time to do that, it will calculate a weighted blended return for each of the types of investments. So John's tax deferred, qualified, it'll calculate his returns, etc. Alright, I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to change the data we have on the front screen. But that shows you very quickly how to enter investments. Okay, let's go to cash infusions. This is where we can get really powerful with the program, modeling income streams. You can model any lump sum or series of payments. And this is just a few examples. They automatically pop up. Sale of a home. That would be a one-time lump sum. Maybe they're going to downsize their home and pull out some equity. Maybe they have an inheritance. Maybe they want to work a part-time job. Maybe you want to model life insurance proceeds. What if John passed away and he had some life insurance came in, and that would help with the shortfalls with Susan? Maybe you have annuities. You can model split annuities. You can model 5-year SPIAs, tax-deferred annuities, deferred annuities that you delay 5, 10 years, whatever the duration is. You can model lifetime annuity income. So the key with annuity payments is duration. Duration 5 for a SPIA, for example. Duration 40 for lifetime income. Maybe you want it to run to the end of their life. You can model retirement packages, rental properties, deferred comp, reverse mortgages. Maybe they have a business they want to sell. Anything that's a lump sum or series of payments. So I'm going to go in here under sale of home. I'm going to say they're going to pull out $200,000 of equity from their home, and they're going to do that at age 75. And that's a one-time lump sum. And let's say their house value is growing at 1%. And that when they sell it, they don't owe any taxes because they've had the house for so long. When the money comes in, though, it's going to go into their taxable investment bucket and grow there. So I'm going to hit Add to Plan. Now you see some white come into the picture. We didn't use all of their income from the sale of home. We only used what the program projected they needed. The rest of it went into their investments. So you see here at age 75, 76, you see the money from the sale of home come into the picture. So that's where you get this non-linear bump. And in this case, they run out of money at 84. So it extended their retirement a couple of years. So that's what cash infusions are for. Now before we click on special expenses, let's recall that on other assumptions we entered $95,000 a year for their retirement income goal. If we use special expenses, we can layer things on top of that amount. Okay, so I'm going to go under special expenses. And again, you see some examples pop up in here. You can use it for long-term care, which we're not going to really cover in this video. Maybe they have life insurance premiums. Maybe they need to move some money to an annuity, so they're going to purchase an annuity. Maybe they're going to buy a second home, take a big vacation. Maybe they have unusual medical expenses, etc. You can see lots of items on here. Now note, these are just examples. I can go right to any line I want and just type over the description of the expense. So let's say they want to take a trip around the world when they retire, and they're going to budget $15,000. And they're going to do that at age 67. It's a one-time expense. I'm going to add that into the plan. Okay, we got a little bump up here in their expenses. You saw a little tweak in their retirement, so it wasn't really enough money to have a huge effect on their retirement. Let's say they had some medical issues. One of them needs some expensive medicine. It's $5,000 a year. They get diagnosed at age 70, and let's say that goes on for at least 10 years. Let's see what that looks like. Again, we saw a bump up in their expenses, kind of hard to see, and we see them running out of money still about age 83. So this is a way you can layer things on top of the picture using special expenses. Alright, the last two buttons, we have a help button. If you're on any field at all, let's say you're on the retirement income goal field here, and I click on the help button, not the menu, it'll zoom into the help to go to the page on the topic related to the input that you're on. So that can be a useful little function for you. Last button is just exit. Just put that there conveniently. You can still hit the red X or do File, Exit. So that's what the buttons are for. Go to the next video and we'll talk about customizing the reports.